Welcome back to Skyline Scales. This week we're doing another back to the basics and we're going to focus on the ball python. This is Kita and she's going to help us out today. As per usual, when we do our back to the basics, we're pretty much teaching you what an animal is and how to take care of it. We're doing ball pythons this week, but we're going to follow the same guidelines, which means that we are going to go over the animal, what it is, how big it gets, what you should expect in temperament, and then we're going to go over requirements for the cage, for heating, for UVB, for temperatures, and some cool facts at the end. First things first is we're going to go over the animal. This is Kita. She's one of two of my ball pythons, and she is a spider morph. Ball pythons come in hundreds, thousands, so many different color morphs, and spider is just one of them. Now, ball pythons are actually a really good snake. A lot of people call them one of the best beginner snakes, but I disagree with that, and we'll get to that at the end. But they are super hardy, they adapt well, and they can be held in relatively small cages. Sexual dimorphism, or the difference between guys and girls, we can see in two different ways. One of those ways happens to be their size. Females will grow somewhere between 4 and 6 feet, and males will only go 3 to 4 feet long, maybe 5 feet if they get pretty big. And that is because the females carry the eggs, so they have to be bigger to be able to handle all those eggs. Ball pythons are native to Central and West Africa, where they live in open forests, shrublands, and grasslands, but they are also found all over the world for the pure fact that they are one of, if not the most common pet snake or pet reptile in the world. The next thing we need to talk about is their cage requirements, more specifically the size. A baby ball python could start out in a 15-gallon enclosure, but that is nowhere near big enough for an adult ball python. The smallest cage that you should select is 2 sides of the cage equaling the length of the snake. However, I would recommend a cage that is 3 feet by 2 feet by 1 foot. But ball pythons can actually do rather well in rack systems as well, so height isn't always a necessity. You're also going to need things inside your cage, including a water bowl. The water bowl should be large enough for them to soak in so that they have somewhere to soak while they're shedding and also have somewhere to drink. You need at least 2 hides, one on the warm side, one on the cool side. For decorations, you actually don't need to go overboard with decorations. There is such a thing as too much stimulus for ball pythons. So add plants, make it look nice, but don't go bananas. Climbing opportunities are actually also good. One of the new things I learned in redoing my research on ball pythons this time is that male ball pythons have a preference for climbing, which I had no idea. Did you know that your boyfriend likes to climb? I didn't know that. The next thing we need to talk about is humidity, which needs to be kept somewhere between 60 and 80%. They actually can handle pretty high humidities, but we don't want it to get too high for risk of respiratory infection. And the best way to balance your humidity is your substrate, which there are so many different substrates that are actually really great for ball pythons. The next thing we need to talk about is lighting. Now, ball pythons don't need UVB, but we're learning more and more that UVB is beneficial for almost all reptiles for so many different reasons. So if you want to provide a UVB bulb, it's not going to hurt. Temperatures need to range at the hot spot at 95 degrees and the cool spot in the 70s. Now, do your best, don't let that dip below 70, and make sure that you do have a heat gradient in your cage, a hot spot and a cool spot, so that they can decide if they want to be warmer or cooler. The next thing we need to talk about is food and frequency. Now, ball pythons eat rats and mice depending upon their size, and they can be really picky about rats and mice sometimes, which is the reason I prefer not having ball pythons and the reason that I don't recommend them as a first-time pet. I don't know about you guys, but when my pet doesn't eat, it stresses me out. Food is actually relatively simple as long as you can keep them eating, and that's that they eat rats, mice. The babies will eat about every 5 to 7 days, with adults eating every 7 to 10 days. And that all depends upon your weight. You want to keep an eye on that and make sure they're a healthy weight. Overall, ball pythons make great pets. And they aren't a terrible starter pet, but I don't recommend them because it's hard to keep them eating sometimes. Even though they're super hardy and going off food probably isn't going to hurt them. Overall, ball pythons make terrific pets. They are super hardy, which counteracts the fact that they sometimes go off of feed, which is something I'm not a fan of, but it often doesn't hurt them because of how hardy they are. The hardest part about their care is going to be keeping track of that humidity and making sure it stays in a healthy range for them. Other than that, they are super placid, easy to hold, they make great pets, and they're hardy, so it's a good time to learn. Hi, Kita. Aren't you a beautiful girl? Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed our ball python care guide. Now, they make great pets. I wish you luck on your pet snakes. I hope this helped out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment the most beautiful morph of ball python you have ever seen. Do you want a purple ball python? They exist. Beautiful, hundreds, thousands. Oh,